ropes, machines, and wedges.
Is that what makes it safe? I hear comments often that we always use a rope if we're felling a tree. I also hear some places say we always use a machine if we're working on a tree. Both of those for safety. Some people ask, is it safer to use a wedge when working or felling a tree? And you know, the answer is probably true for all three of them, but it's not as much the machine or the tool. The important part is the planning process. Now let's put them in our plan. Some because of close canopies, intertwined limbs.
Trees shed limbs and leaves naturally. Every tree has a place where a limb or a leaf has been.
Some are caused by weather. Some because of rot, decay.
Intertwined limbs in canopies. Leaning trees often cause loss of controls.
Vines cause a lot of struck-by injuries. How could a machine make the work area more dangerous for the chainsaw operator? How could a rope under pressure make it more dangerous? How could a wedge make the work area more dangerous? Struck-bys have been a major cause of injuries and fatalities in forestry and tree work for years. How can we reduce those situations of struck-bys?
My experience and confidence has been built in directional felling. When trees fall, direction is important. Look up to see if something is falling, but we can't always be able to get away from it. And that's where directional felling can help. If hang-ups occur, it creates other pressures in the tops and limbs. If it hangs up and rolls out, it throws limbs and debris. Wrong direction, if it hits a power line, can turn into real danger. Putting a rope or a cable in a tree doesn't necessarily direct the tree. If the hinge is removed, the cable or rope simply twists or turns the tree. The tree rotates. If it came in contact with another crown, then basically things start to throw, start to fly. A rope can assist, but doesn't steer or may not control a tree. And then using a machine, people look at to be a lot of safety. Pushes instead of pulls. More or less it takes and forces the stem. If there's any of the canopy that's touching another top or limb, then it's going to cause breakage, twist, and debris falling. A wedge can assist, but it doesn't steer or control either. The steering and control still comes from the hinge. The hinge is the steering and control tool. Ropes, machines, and wedges only assist. Contact with other trees or limbs initiate many struck-by incidents. When ropes, machines, and wedges assist, concentrate on the plan information and the notch in the hinge.
I was asked by the Forest Service. A gentleman named Penn Peters contacted me, And he wanted to do a project, a little study on struck by injuries and fatalities in forestry. He stated that for years they've had a lot of injuries in the forest industry, from limbs coming back, trees going the wrong way. And he wanted to know, can we be able to limit those issues by using hinges and directional felling? You see, I think that oftentimes we don't take into consideration that we can actually steer the tree away from objects, away from limbs that are intertwined, away from dead limbs in the structure. We could fell the whole tree into an opening not so close to an adjacent crown. Well, Penn Peters wanted to do this, and we traveled to the experimental forest up in West Virginia, Parsons, West Virginia. And it was some flat area and then also some very steep area. Very cold day in January or February, I believe, that year. And we went up the hill, and Penn picked out several trees. And what he wanted to find out by taking trajectories of where those trees leaned to a specific spot, in other words, he placed a target or selected a target, and then he took trajectories of those trees side to side, forward to back, and we tried to take extensive side lean and be able to direct that away and be able to keep those hinges holding to place those trees away from other adjacent crowns. We found that it worked very, very well. And you know, Penn went back and he analyzed all the information and came up with basically a report to that study that more or less stated that if you could take the center of the crown of the tree that you were cutting and placed it between two other trees or objects, it would minimize it if you stayed as close to center as possible. Not more than about 10% of the outside crown area of each tree coming in contact with each other. If it took more than that, in other words, if you got closer than about 10% of each canopy at the outer edge, then more or less you would see that it would break limbs. It would twist the tree. And so injuries started to happen from butt rebounds, side shifts, as well as situations of struck bys thrown back from the top of the tree, and in most cases down to around 15 feet around the tree that you're falling. A lot of injuries and fatalities take place because of those things in those areas. Penn's study was amazing that it went right along with what Soren Eriksson had always taught, in that being to select the spot that's long enough and wide enough for the tree you plan to fall. If it's not long enough, you have to take it down from the top, or you have to select another location. If that tree is too wide to go into an area, then you may have to take it down from the top, or you may have to locate another area to fell that's wider, because you have to have enough space. Struck bys, butt rebounds, side kicks, those are all things that cause a lot of injuries when it comes to felling trees. When you start to add machines, and a lot of people think that that's a safety, but when you start taking a tree, if you don't locate that spot wide enough and long enough, and you have a sawyer on the ground, puts in a face notch, starts a back cut, you apply pressure to the tree, then more or less if you push that tree forward at all and one of those limbs comes in contact in the canopy, there's a good chance that it's going to drop. It's a good chance it's going to break. And that sawyer is still there trying to establish a hinge to fall the tree. Same thing with a rope. Many, many times I see where people want to apply a lot of pressure to a rope trying to get that tree to go in one location or in the direction that you'd like for it to go. And what happens is too much pressure creates stress in the hinge area. The operator is down there trying to rapidly cut up to the hinge and ends up with a limb touching in the top or the tree rolling out because of the hinge was damaged, loss of control, and the operator becomes injured. Wedges, even very simple way to slow down the process a little bit, to move the canopy from back lean to forward lean. But if it comes in contact with a limb or another top structure on its way, it's going to try to stop. If you continue banging, then vibration and cracking can take place in those cases also. Just a heavy forward-leaning tree, or a forward-leaning tree at all, that comes, and you release the tree, cutting from the back, the top hits a limb or a dead top or a green top hard enough, then struck by limbs or tops can come down to the operator on the ground. All of these things add up. It goes back to that planning process of looking for hazards, whether it be vines or dead limbs. Doesn't have to be detached. It can be limbs that are attached. If they touch, they're most likely going to break off. And then look also at rot, disease in the tree, hollows, all of those kinds of things before you start. That way you can recognize a possible technique that may be able to be used. And then also you want to think about thinking of an escape. Where can you get out of there far enough to be able to clear any of those things that may come back to that drop zone or to that stump area? So it's important for those. And then the biggest is to have a hinge that's going to be able to control that tree to that location that you choose, that helps to reduce those throwbacks and struck-bys. All of those things then dictate what you choose in a machine or a rope or a wedge or just simply a free fall to your target area. That's what maintains safety. An accident is an unplanned event. So maintaining your plan is a sure way to reduce unplanned events. I appreciate you viewing this video. I hope you picked up something to think about when it comes to using tools, whether it be machine, rope, or wedges, in taking down trees or working with different storm cleanup situations. I hope that your plan is the first thing that you formulate, and then pick the right tools to be able to accomplish that plan. We hope to see you along the Forest Staff's road someday. This is Tim Ard, wishing you good sawing.